mean, I'm surprised how relatively close we are, given how not great it felt. I mean, every time you come here, the grip is, because of the altitude we're in, we're all running pretty high downforce, but it's low. It feels lower than Monza, so you're sliding around, trying to find grip, but it's just not there. I tell you what, the mosquitoes here are insane.
They're still biting you.
I thought Jamaica's mosquitoes were bad, but here they're a close second.
One just buzzed past you as you were talking there.
Yeah, I'm wearing my jacket and my hoodie up, so I got bit on the top of my head in my engineering. But yeah, it wasn't disastrous, but obviously because I missed P1, Antonio did a really great job. So nice to be able to watch him drive and experience and have fun in my car, which is really cool. And then yeah, the car was sliding around a lot, so the balance is very open. I've got a lot of work to do overnight to try and figure out how to find a more streamlined balance.
I'll take slidey as a word then. Slidey could be fun as well.
Sliding?
Slidey.
It's never fun.
Never fun?
No, unless you're in a rally car.
And you're in a Formula 1 car. Fair enough.
Definitely not in a Formula 1 car.
Is there a danger you might try and do too much, that the track does improve a bit for the Saturday, grip comes to you a little bit, and then you might go a bit too far the other way?
I mean, there is always a danger with it, but I mean, I don't think it can make it worse. Touch wood, but I'm at least really surprised if it's worse. We won't obviously be silly with the decisions we take. We'll look through the data tonight and then try and come up with some plans, but I definitely don't want to race what we had today. But the long run balance wasn't disastrous, but it's just we need to get more from the tyres, and I know there's more pace in the car.
Is there a danger you might try and do too much, that the track does improve a bit for the Saturday, grip comes to you a little bit, and then you might go a bit too far the other way?
I mean, there is always a danger with it, but I mean, I don't think it can make it worse. Touch wood, but I'm at least really surprised if it's worse. We won't obviously be silly with the decisions we take. We'll look through the data tonight and then try and come up with some plans, but I definitely don't want to race what we had today. But the long run balance wasn't disastrous, but it's just we need to get more from the tyres, and I know there's more pace in the car.
What happens when the most experienced driver on the grid faces one of the most demanding circuits, without having ridden a single lap in the first practice? How does someone like Hamilton adapt to 2,250 meters of altitude, with air 20% less dense and scorching temperatures? Can a single session be enough to fight Max Verstappen face-to-face? Friday started with a notable absence. Ferrari number 44, the one that has attracted so many eyes since Lewis Hamilton joined the Maranello team, did not take to the track in the first free practice of the Mexican Grand Prix. To some, this may have seemed like a simple strategy or a minor decision. But in reality, it was the first big obstacle of the weekend. One that, in such a tight championship, can change everything. Why wasn't Hamilton on the track? The answer is in the regulations. The FIA requires each team to give its cars to a driver considered a rookie in at least 2 free practice sessions during the season. This rule, designed to give real opportunities to young talents, also forces top drivers like Hamilton to give up their seat when there are no more pending shifts. Ferrari had used Dino Beganovic in Leclerc's cars in Bahrain and Austria. That left then Hamilton's car. It was inevitable. The one chosen to take the wheel was Antonio Fuoco. At first glance, it may seem like just a test pilot. But behind that name there is a complex trajectory and a very specific strategic utility for Ferrari. Fuoco is one of the cornerstones of the Maranello simulator. He was champion at the 24 Hours of Le Mans with Ferrari in 2024 and has dedicated his career to understanding, translating, and adjusting digital technology to reality on the track. And that was exactly what he did in Mexico. 32 laps dedicated not to shining on the stopwatches, but to collecting essential data to configure an extremely sensitive car like the SF25. Meanwhile, from the garage, Hamilton watched everything. He wasn't just a passive spectator. His focused gaze, his conversations with the engineers, his constant interaction with the team, revealed the importance of every detail that was lost by not being in the cockpit. Because missing FP1 in Mexico is not the same as missing it on any other track. We are talking about a circuit at more than 2,200 meters above sea level. An environment where lower air density radically modifies downforce, cooling levels, and brake efficiency. It's one of those conditions where every minute of filming matters. And Hamilton had none. When the traffic light finally turned green for FP2, the stage was set for one of the most demanding challenges of the year. Not only for Ferrari but for Lewis Hamilton personally. Because what seemed like a simple second free practice became, in effect, his only real opportunity to prepare for the rest of the weekend. Just 1 hour. 60 minutes to do what others had already started in the morning. Adapt to the altitude, calibrate the car, find the rhythm and adjust the technical settings for one of the most error-sensitive routes of the entire season. From the first lap, Hamilton made it clear that he was not there to waste time. He started with medium tires, as dictated by Ferrari's internal protocol for the initial evaluation of the car's behavior. But what differentiated his departure from the rest was the intensity with which he began to work. While other drivers used the first turns to settle on the track, Hamilton began attacking key sectors from the first attempt. I wasn't looking for lap times, I was looking for understanding. Each braking was an experiment. Each curve, a sensitivity test. The SF25, as has been said repeatedly this season, is not an easy car to handle. It has a very narrow operating window, particularly sensitive to changes in ride height and aerodynamic balance. And Mexico, with its 20% less dense air, requires specific work to maximize the efficiency of the spoilers without losing stability during long braking. This equation became even more complex due to the extreme temperatures on the track, which exceeded 48 degrees Celsius, generating an unusual thermal range for conventional analysis. For the first 20 minutes of the session, Hamilton stayed within a very clear technical protocol: progressive scanning. I accelerated on the straights, yes, but I lifted in traction areas to analyze how the car responded in slow transitions. In parallel, his engineer provided him with constant updates on the conditions of the asphalt and the evolution of the rubber. Ferrari knows that, without the driver's own prior telemetry, the key was to build an accurate dynamic profile before even attempting a reference time. But it was halfway through the session when the real Hamilton appeared. With the C5 compound, the softest of the weekend, fitted, the Briton went out with the intention of running his qualifying simulation. And this is where everything changed. His first attempt was messy. He made a serious mistake when leaving the ideal trajectory in the stadium, one of the most technical and closed sectors of the circuit. He lost at least 6/10, enough to bury him outside the top 10 if he didn't correct. But the most impressive thing was what happened next. He returned to the garage, asked for minor adjustments and came back out with almost surgical determination. On his second lap, he clocked a 1 minute and 17.692 seconds. Fifth absolute. Only 0.300 seconds behind the untouchable Max Verstappen, and just 0.147 behind his own teammate Charles Leclerc, who had already had an entire session to work on. This time was a message in itself, because it didn't just show Hamilton's speed. It showed the ability to learn on the fly, to identify errors and correct them in real time. And the most important thing, to get the most out of a car that is not yet 100%. The telemetry revealed a very interesting technical pattern. In the second sector, the fastest on the circuit, made up of high-speed corners such as 6, 7 and 8, Hamilton continued to lose ground. The SF25 showed slight but constant instability during rapid changes of direction. This phenomenon, known as snap oversteer, is exacerbated when the height of the car is not perfectly balanced. It is not something that can be corrected with piloting, it is a technical-based problem. Still, Hamilton limited losses to a minimum. Where he did shine was in the third sector. There, in the slow corners, the Briton brought out his champion instinct. Turns 12, 13, 14 and 15 in the stadium area are a test of precision, traction and sensitivity. And that is where Lewis was superior to the rest, including Verstappen. That combination of technique and patience is what allowed him to climb into the top 5, even without a perfect clean lap. But the true value of FP2 for Hamilton wasn't just the lap time. It was what he built in silence: trust. Because on a weekend where he lost 50% of the useful filming time, he managed to put himself in a solid position for Saturday's qualifying. Because he knew how to prioritize where to risk and where to collect data. And because he made it clear that, even at a disadvantage, he can compete with the best. His FP2 was more than a training session. It was a declaration of intent, a silent warning to the grille, and an unequivocal sign that Lewis Hamilton, even with little time and many variables against him, remains one of the most dangerous drivers in all of Formula 1. In the FP2 timetable of the 2025 Mexican Grand Prix, Lewis Hamilton appears fifth. It is concrete, verifiable data, even encouraging for many. But in Formula 1, the times don't always tell the whole story. In fact, they often hide more than they reveal. And this was precisely one of those cases. Hamilton's 1 minute and 17.692 seconds may seem like a good sign. Just 3/10 behind Max Verstappen, and below the usual margin that separated him from the Dutchman in his last season with Mercedes. But you have to understand the context of that return, because that record did not arrive cleanly, much less perfectly. In his first serious attempt on soft rubber, Hamilton made a technical error in the stadium. He lost the optimal line at the exit of turn 13, causing understeer that compromised traction until turn 15. The result was a net loss of approximately 0.6 of a second. That means that, had his lap been completely clean, Hamilton would have been within 1/10 of Verstappen, perhaps even ahead of teammate Charles Leclerc. This is not an optimistic assumption. It is a direct conclusion from the analysis by sectors, supported by data collected by Ferrari and independent technical observers. The interesting thing is that this strength in the third sector is not only the result of piloting technique. It also reveals an early symbiosis between Hamilton and the Ferrari team. Communication with engineers, translating what you feel on the track into specific settings in the car, and the ability to adjust your driving style to a demanding chassis are traits that don't develop in weeks. Normally it would take months. But Hamilton, in only his third Grand Prix with Ferrari, is already showing signs of rapport that many do not achieve in full seasons. The most impressive thing about his performance was not his timing, nor even his rapid adaptation to a complex environment. It was his mentality. Instead of regretting losing FP1, he transformed that limitation into motivation. He accepted the conditions, assimilated the car's data through telemetry from Fuoco and Leclerc, and executed an FP2 that was as strategic as it was technical. That ability to prioritize useful information, ignore the noise, and focus on what really impacts performance is the mark of true greats. Hamilton did not try to impress with fireworks or seek a spectacular lap at any cost. His approach was methodical, structured, precise. He showed that he still understands better than anyone how to work with an imperfect machine and get competitive performance out of it. And most importantly, he made it clear that he is building something with Ferrari. It's not just about arriving and winning. It's about building trust with the team, interpreting the car correctly, and establishing a common language with the engineers that will eventually, race after race, lead you to exploit the true potential of the SF25. What is clear after this Mexican Friday is that Lewis Hamilton does not need extra time. What you need is an opportunity. And if Mexico was any indication of what he can do with just 1 real hour of track time, then the rest of the paddock would do well to pay attention. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this.